So you've come some way in the awakening process. You might have been meditating for some time, involved in a certain spiritual practice, which you've taken very seriously. But you find that in any case, it almost seems no matter what you do, somehow you get drugged back into the drama, or maybe you get affected by the pressures of other people, the getting pulled into the energetics of the environment around you, or the energetics of other individuals. And so essentially, you're not master of your own domain. And now, for some individuals, this may cause a fight reaction or an aggressive response. And for still others, it might cause a withdrawal response or kind of go into depression or a feeling of weakness. In any case, the effect is the same. We've been caught up in the energetics of another person or in the environment around us, the chaos of the environment around us. And this causes us to shrink into ourselves. And the shrinking in can be like being backed into a corner and create an explosive reactiveness, or a kind of sort of whimpering or pulling in effect. And this is happening at the nervous system level. And so what I'd like to talk about today is to give you some direction as to how you might move forward in life, being ever less reactive, being ever less explosive, or going into withdrawal less. We don't want to make the goal of being perfect in this, because that goal is of the mind. We're going to move toward perfecting that inner peace or spaciousness. The easiest way to understand that the issue is in terms of energetics or atmospheres. Most people's atmospheres, or the energetic field of within them, it's not spacious. It's actually quite cramped, quite narrow. And so there isn't much room for anything that's outside of the known or the expected. It's unable to embrace the chaos of life and remain calm. Because of the smallness, it gets blown around like a leaf in the wind. But an awakened individual, now by awakened, of course, this is who determines this. It's usually the other individuals around you who see there's something different about this person. So we'll say relative to that, awakened. There's a graciousness or a spaciousness. The atmosphere of them is large in some way, spacious in some way. And I don't mean stiff. It's at ease and calm. It's all good, so to speak. And in effect, they've created an atmosphere through their training, through the process of life, whatever means that they have, such that their atmosphere affects the environment around them more than the environment affects their atmosphere. And the atmosphere can become so large that it encompasses greater and greater amount of things, space around us. Ultimately, we want such a large, embracing, spacious atmosphere that the entire universe is one, us, from that perspective. And from that perspective, what could perturb? For what reason would we react? Now, in my own process, I've noticed that in the process of developing that, or finding that, it's really a revelation, the atmospheric revelation of this broad spaciousness. It's actually a revelation, not something you exactly find, although it feels like that at first. In the process of that, of rooting in that spaciousness, of that becoming the norm, there will be moments where there's an utter collapse out of it, and we're back in this smallness. And so the question emerged within me of what was it that was triggering that response, that smallness? And almost without expectation, almost without exception, it was expectation. That someone that I trusted not to behave in a certain way, not to treat me or treat somebody in a certain way, someone that I trusted by default had defied the expectation, had done that which I could not imagine they would do. And because of that expectation, the response was so extreme. The response was a collapse, anger or withdrawal, or something like that. And so the real answer is to soften the expectations. No matter who you're with, they will do things from time to time that don't fit within your expectations. If the expectations are hard, then there will be a collapse. Now, it's not wrong to say that we shouldn't have some sort of soft behavioral guidelines. There's no need for us to accept abusive behavior. But reacting to that abusive behavior doesn't really help. I've tested that theory many times and failed every time. You're welcome to test that theory as much as you want. At some point, you'll relax into the realization that reacting to other people's pressures, to the narcissism around us, to the selfishness, to the misbehavior, the malevolence, and there's plenty of that the reaction doesn't really help. In some cases, in the short term, it seems to. In the long term, it comes to bite us. Comes back to bite us. So the real trick is to soften the expectations. Yet when we are responsive, we're responsive in a clear, non-apologetic way. If someone crosses these boundaries that we have, healthy boundaries, assuming they're healthy boundaries, it's right to say no, and to say no without wavering, without apologizing. No need to apologize. This isn't right for me. I don't want a part of it. If they don't accept it, that's on them. You don't have to talk to them, and you don't have to manage their emotions. If there is the feeling of wanting to manage the other person's emotions, of wanting to be liked, or not wanting to anger the other person by disagreeing, then that is an indication that our self-esteem, our self-worth is dependent upon other people's opinions of us. It's actually a kind of self-absorption, and we become a sort of politician in that sense, where we're being quite false with them so that they will accept us. And it will come off as a weakness. They will feel it as weakness, and they will take advantage of that if they are the sort that is likely to take advantage of such things, and many people are. So we want this very grounded, spacious, broad at-easeness within which it's relaxed, but there is no sense of weakness. In fact, it's a very strange feeling when you're around someone who's in that space. It's a very strange feeling because it's very hard to read, to understand what that energetic is. It's not a tough guy energetic whatsoever. It's not a weak feeling whatsoever, yet it seems very soft. It seems very soft, yet there's a depth to it that it's like the ocean. The ocean is soft, but you try punching the ocean, it doesn't have any effect. It's kind of like that. And so there are a number of ways to develop this, first and foremost, being meditation. I teach a type of meditation called total embodiment meditation that's all about developing that sort of, or finding, really revealing that place within the nervous system, within the body, within the energetic atmosphere that is ever less perturbable. But another way is, of course, and these two are, should be done together, is just to be mindful of the expectation, be aware of what it is that we were expecting, the hard expectation that caused us to collapse, that caused us to explode in anger or to withdraw, to be hurt, to suffer. So this message again is about how to fundamentally realize this spaciousness around us and atmospheric around us that influences the world around us in a positive way, and so that we're no longer being perturbed by the environment around us and the people around us, that those are not the main influences, but that instead there's almost this kind of deeper presence that far transcends those small energies of the environment around us and the people around us.